Continued to stare into the distance. She didn't understand why this uneasiness was building inside you. You don't get success by chasing it desperately. You attract it by becoming the type of person who naturally aligns with success. This principle is at the core of every high achiever's story, whether they realize it or not. They didn't wait for success to knock. They didn't spend every moment begging for opportunities. They built themselves into someone success couldn't ignore. When you chase success, it runs. But when you align yourself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually with what success demands, it flows toward you. That shift, from chasing to attracting, changes everything. Most people think success is something out there that you need to pursue, find, or earn through external effort alone. They believe if they work more hours, push harder, network with more people, or scream louder, they'll get noticed. But that approach often leads to burnout, frustration, and disappointment. Because they're focusing on the wrong thing. They're trying to manipulate the outside world without transforming the inside. Success doesn't respond to noise, it responds to alignment. It doesn't answer desperation, it answers preparation. Think about the most powerful magnets. They don't move, they don't chase. Yet everything within a certain field is drawn to them. They exert pull without words, without effort, simply because of their nature. That's what it means to become someone who attracts success. You become magnetic, not because you're forcing anything, but because you've tuned yourself to the frequency of results, discipline, and purpose. The people who live in alignment with success don't have to try to impress. They're already living the message. When you're not aligned, you can work hard and still feel stuck. You can hustle endlessly and get nowhere. You can knock on every door and never get an answer. That's because the energy behind your actions matters just as much as the actions themselves. If you're driven by fear, insecurity, or the need for approval, you're radiating lack. You're signaling to the universe that you are not enough unless something outside of you validates you. But when you move from a place of internal certainty, when you carry yourself as someone who already knows their worth, the world responds differently. This isn't about arrogance. It's about authority. It's about walking with confidence because you've done the inner work. You've trained your mind. You've built your habits. You've sharpened your focus. You've learned to carry peace in chaos and clarity in confusion. That's what makes people trust you, believe in you, follow you. Not the noise, but the quiet conviction that lives in your spirit. That's what pulls success toward you. Your inner alignment with your vision. Attracting success starts with becoming the version of yourself who already has it. Not pretending, not faking it, but embodying it. You wake up and make decisions based on your future self. You dress like the person who already leads. You speak like someone who has already won. You carry yourself like someone who owns their purpose. This is not about fantasy. It's about identity. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And the moment you elevate who you are, you elevate what becomes available to you. Every choice you make either brings you closer to or further from that aligned state. The food you eat, the thoughts you think, the people you spend time with, the books you read, the words you speak, all of it matters. Success is not some event you wait for. It's a vibration you step into. And the more you step into it, the more your life begins to reflect it. You'll notice different people coming into your world, new opportunities showing up, solutions appearing where there were once only problems. That's not coincidence. That's the power of alignment. That's the power of becoming someone success is drawn to her body. Success is a mirror. It reflects who you are, not what you want. Most people spend their lives trying to change their results without ever changing their identity. They chase goals, switch strategies, and seek shortcuts, yet they remain stuck in the same patterns. Why? Because they haven't changed the one thing that controls everything else, the way they see themselves. Your identity, the story you tell yourself about who you are, sets the limit for what you can achieve. If you see yourself as average, no matter how hard you try, your actions will subconsciously pull you back to that level. If you believe you're not disciplined, you'll find ways to sabotage consistency. The outer world is always a reflection of the inner world. Until you change who you are at your core, your circumstances remain stubbornly the same. We are creatures of pattern, and those patterns are dictated by identity. Every day, whether consciously or not, you live in alignment with the person you believe yourself to be. If you think you're not worthy of wealth, you'll reject it when it comes. If you believe you're not a leader, you'll hesitate when leadership opportunities arise. If you think you don't have what it takes, you'll never fully commit. That belief system creates an invisible ceiling that holds you down. No strategy can save you from a weak identity, but the moment you shift your self-concept, everything begins to change. This is why people who undergo massive personal transformation often speak of a moment where something inside them snapped, where they decided they were no longer going to be the same person. That decision rewired the way they spoke, the way they thought, and the way they acted. And those new actions created new results. It wasn't magic, it was alignment. Success followed because they were finally behaving in accordance with the identity of a winner, not because someone handed it to them, but because they became someone who could carry it. If you want to attract more in life, you have to become more, not in worth, but in awareness, discipline, belief, and standards. Your current life is a perfect reflection of your current identity. If you're not happy with your results, it's not the world you need to fix, it's your internal image. Most people never stop to ask, who do I believe I am? What kind of person do I see when I look in the mirror? And more importantly, who would I need to become to have the life I truly want? When you upgrade your identity, you naturally upgrade your behavior. And when your behavior upgrades, so do your results. The key is not to focus on forcing results. The key is to become the type of person who naturally produces those results. If you want to be fit, become the person who doesn't miss workouts and eats with intention. If you want to build wealth, become the person who manages money wisely and thinks long-term. If you want to lead, become the person who takes responsibility and leads themselves first. You don't need to wait for proof. You need to become the proof. This identity shift isn't about perfection. It's about integrity, acting in harmony with the person you say you are. It's about creating habits that reflect your new standard. And yes, it will feel unfamiliar at first. That's because your comfort zone is built around your old identity. But comfort is the enemy of transformation. Growth requires disruption. You must be willing to let go of who you were to become who you are meant to be. You become powerful the moment you stop asking for permission and start deciding who you are. When you draw a line in the sand and declare, "This is who I am now," you stop negotiating with your old self. You stop entertaining mediocrity. You stop aligning with limitations. You begin to show up differently, more confident, more focused, more consistent, because you're no longer acting out of habit, but out of identity. Your thoughts shape your beliefs, and your habits shape your future. Every single outcome in your life is born from the invisible world of thought. Before success becomes something tangible, something you can touch, experience, or celebrate, it starts as an idea, a vision, a belief. And beliefs aren't passive, they are blueprints. They instruct your behavior, dictate your decisions, and form the foundation for your habits. If you want to change your life, you have to begin by mastering your thoughts, because every result you're experiencing right now is rooted in a thought you once allowed to take root in your mind. People underestimate the power of thinking. They assume it's abstract, irrelevant, or unimportant compared to action. But thoughts are not random wisps in your head. They are commands to your nervous system. They tell your brain what to focus on, what to fear, what to pursue. A person who constantly thinks in terms of limitation will live a life constrained by those very limits, no matter how much potential they possess. A person who feeds their mind with possibility, belief, and clarity will naturally begin to act in alignment with expansion and growth. Thought is the seed, reality is the harvest. But thought alone isn't enough. It must be supported by action, and not just occasional action, but consistent, deliberate, repeated behavior. That's where habits come in. Habits are your automatic rituals. They are the things you do without having to think about them, and that's what makes them so powerful. Most people don't rise to the level of their goals, they fall to the level of their habits. If your habits are weak, inconsistent, and rooted in procrastination or doubt, it doesn't matter how big your dreams are, you'll never reach them. But if your habits are strong, focused, and reinforced with discipline, even the most intimidating goals begin to feel inevitable. Habits are the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. Every day, you are either building or breaking that bridge, and the construction starts in your mind. If you think of yourself as someone who lacks discipline, that thought becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You skip the gym, you eat impulsively, you cut corners, because your mind has already convinced you that's who you are. But if you begin to tell yourself, I am consistent, I am focused, I follow through, your behavior will start to shift to match that narrative. Over time, those repeated behaviors become habits, and those habits create a new lifestyle. The key to transformation lies in becoming intentional about both what you think and what you do. That means monitoring your internal dialogue, questioning the beliefs that keep you small, and replacing them with empowering ones. It means showing up for yourself daily, especially on the days when you don't feel like it, because that's when it matters most. Anyone can act when they're motivated. Few people act when they're tired, discouraged, or uncertain. But those who do, those who maintain their habits through the storm, are the ones who emerge stronger, sharper, and closer to their goals. You have to become ruthless about your mental diet. Guard your thoughts the way you guard your most precious possessions. Starve the thoughts that drain you and feed the ones that empower you. And once you've aligned your thinking, reinforce it with daily action. Make your habits sacred. Make them part of your identity. The moment brushing your teeth is no longer a decision but an automatic act, you never miss it. That's how your success habits should be. Automatic, non-negotiable, embedded into your rhythm. Discipline isn't just about forcing yourself. It's about designing an environment and a mindset that supports consistency. Build systems that support who you want to become. Reduce friction, eliminate distractions. Keep your goals visible. Track your wins. Celebrate your progress. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. Master your thoughts. Build your habits. And the future will take care of itself. Consistency is your superpower. In a world where most people start strong and fade fast, where motivation comes and goes like the wind, the ability to show up every single day becomes a rare and unbeatable advantage. Success doesn't favor the most talented, the most educated, or the most connected. It favors the one who keeps showing up, the one who builds momentum day after day, even when no one is watching. That quiet, relentless discipline becomes your invisible engine. It builds your confidence, your reputation, your results, and it makes you magnetic to success. Consistency is not glamorous. It's not flashy. It's not something people will always celebrate, but it's the hidden force behind every extraordinary achievement. Think of any master, an elite athlete, a world-class performer, a top-tier entrepreneur, and you'll see one thing in common. They didn't just have a good day. They had good days stacked on top of each other. They repeated simple, focused actions over time until the world had no choice but to notice. That's what builds greatness. Not one big move, but thousands of small, intentional steps taken without fail. The truth is, the gap between where you are and where you want to be is often not as wide as it seems. Most people don't need more information or more time. They need more consistency. They already know what to do, but they do it occasionally instead of daily, and that inconsistency keeps them stuck. One day of effort followed by 3 days of neglect will never build a legacy, but even a modest effort, repeated consistently, will outpace erratic bursts of inspiration every time. Because it's not about intensity, it's about identity. When you become someone who does the work regardless of how you feel, that's when you take control of your destiny. Being consistent builds trust, not just with others, but with yourself, and that self-trust is everything. When you know you'll show up no matter what, you walk differently, you speak with more authority, you carry less doubt, because deep down, you know that even if the path is long, you will not stop. That inner certainty becomes your competitive edge. While others burn out, get distracted, or look for shortcuts, you're steadily gaining ground. Success is drawn to that kind of energy. It recognizes resilience. It respects those who persist. The power of consistency also lies in what it compounds. Like drops of water carving through stone, your daily actions wear down resistance and build strength. The more consistent you are, the easier it becomes to stay consistent. Your habits become automatic, your progress accelerates, and eventually, what once required willpower becomes a natural part of who you are. That's when momentum kicks in, and momentum is a force that multiplies everything you do. But here's what stops most people. They're addicted to immediate results. They want the reward without the repetition. They expect transformation overnight. So when results don't come fast enough, they quit. Not realizing that consistency was the very thing that would have made the results inevitable. Every great success story has a long, often invisible stretch of effort where nothing seemed to be happening, but beneath the surface, everything was being built. Discipline, skill, character, confidence, and then, all at once, things change, but only for the one who stayed the course. That's why you can't afford to be casual about your consistency. You must treat your habits like sacred appointments with your future. Show up on the hard days. Do the work when no one's clapping. Keep moving forward even when the results seem small. Because the truth is, success isn't reserved for the lucky. It's reserved for the consistent. It gravitates toward the person who proves day after day that they are serious, that they are committed, that they are unshakable in their pursuit. And in that unwavering consistency, you become the type of person whose success simply cannot ignore. The people you surround yourself with, the environment you live in, the energy you allow into your mind, all of it shapes your future. Most people don't realize how silently their surroundings are influencing their success or failure. Every conversation you entertain, every post you scroll past, every room you step into, it either reinforces your power or drains it. Success is not only about what you do, it's also about what and who you allow to influence you. If your environment is filled with negativity, drama, and excuses, you will eventually absorb those patterns, no matter how strong your intentions are. Energy is contagious, and your life becomes a mirror of the energy you tolerate. The world is filled with people who have given up on their dreams, and they'll try to talk you out of yours. Not because they're evil, but because your growth threatens their comfort. Your ambition reminds them of what they didn't do. Your discipline forces them to confront their own lack of it, and instead of rising, they'll try to pull you down. That's why protecting your energy isn't just a nice idea, it's survival. You can't afford to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You can't afford to take advice from people who have never built anything. You can't allow their noise to drown out your vision. If you do, you'll spend your whole life living small to make others feel comfortable. You have to build an environment that feeds your growth. That means being intentional about what you listen to, what you read, what you watch, and who you give your time to. If you're constantly consuming garbage, don't be surprised when your mindset feels cluttered. If you're surrounded by people who gossip, complain, and make excuses, don't be shocked when you start losing focus. You must train yourself to be relentless about what gets access to your mind. Your environment should be a reflection of the life you want to build, not the one you're trying to escape. Sometimes that means making hard decisions, cutting ties, saying no, creating distance, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. You cannot grow if you're chained to people who refuse to evolve. You cannot fly if your circle only knows how to crawl. Elevation requires separation. And the higher you go, the more ruthless you must become about protecting your peace. Because peace isn't just about silence, it's about alignment. When your environment is aligned with your purpose, you become unstoppable. You think clearer, you move faster, you attract better. That's not coincidence, that's the power of surrounding yourself with the right energy. And it's not just about cutting out the bad, it's about adding more of the good. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, who inspire you, who hold you to a higher standard. People who don't let you slack off, who speak life into your vision, who celebrate your growth without resentment. That kind of support system can change everything. Because when you're in the right environment, even your darkest days become manageable. When you have the right people in your corner, your belief system expands. You start to think bigger, dream deeper, act bolder. And slowly, your life starts to catch up to that new standard. Even your physical space matters. Keep it clean, keep it focused. Design your surroundings to reflect your goals. Create a space where inspiration lives, where distractions are minimized, where your future feels possible. Your environment should be a place where greatness feels normal, not rare. Where success isn't just talked about, it's expected. The more you expose yourself to that kind of energy, the more you'll begin to internalize it. And once it becomes part of you, success becomes inevitable. Because you're no longer fighting your environment, you're fueled by it. You're no longer defending your energy, you're protecting and multiplying it. And in that space, you begin to rise.